Yo, what is going on, guys? Frank Trades here, bringing you another weekly stock watch list. Before we get started, though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. Without much more being said, let's go ahead and dive into the watch list. So, as far as earnings this week goes, there is not too much going on besides really just TSM, which is pretty much all I see, which is not an active stock that I trade every single day, but it is an active stock on our watch list. But besides that, you got banks that are reporting this week, so meaning most of our tech earning stocks will be starting soon. I believe Tesla is next week. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I'm pretty sure when most of the banks report, that's when Tesla is pretty much close to reporting along with Netflix. So with that being said, not too much going on earnings week, so we are pretty good on that. And now the other thing to keep in mind here is the market. Now, this watch list will be really short because of what happened on Friday. Now, obviously, Trump being Trump and how he likes to have his disagreements, agreements, whatever you want to call it at this point, his relationships with China. We dropped quite a bit here. So you could see that we dropped over 1,000 points in one day on NQ, getting us really far away from those all-time highs that we have been loving here in the market. So, like I said, I'm going to keep the watches pretty short and simple because anything can happen over the weekend. We can expect a huge bounce. This can keep gapping down. Who knows, man, right? I don't want to be the one to put in a lot of work with these levels just for something big to happen, right? That's why I'm just going to wake up early tomorrow morning on Monday and see where the market's at and then go on and judge it from there. So, for the meantime, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Like I said, I will be watching the 24,000 area for a continuation to the downside. 200 points away, nothing too insane. Or if I'm looking for a bounce, 24,400 would be my previous resistance now. Support turned into resistance now. ES, same story here. Going to keep things super easy. Going to keep things super simple. On ES here, I will be keeping an eye out for the 6,500 area for a continuation. First things first, though, this was the previous level that we were struggling with all-time high, which is around the 6,520 area. I will still be watching this. So 6,520 first for a support. After that, looking at 6,500. Now, if we're looking for any kind of bounce, it would be anything above 6,600 on ES. Now, as far as stocks go, most of the stock setups are really far away. The only two that could somewhat happen that look good on at least on a bigger time frame would be Meta here. You guys can see we kind of have a flat bottom. Now, granted, we have been in this area before, but these would be new areas on Meta if we come back down to 690 here on the stock. So anything above 690, keeping an eye out for. Anything to the upside, I'm staying away from. I'm not really a big fan of these Meta divergence plays to the upside just because of how reused these areas are now. It tends to be a little bit choppy. So for the meantime, I will be staying away from that. And then last but not least here is Tesla. Tesla, we bounced directly off of 400, so going into tomorrow, obviously that is an area that I would be interested in on Tesla above or below 400, maybe even below 405, because if you put this in the 30-minute time frame, you guys can see, and I've mentioned a lot of times before, where Meta is a really versatile stock to where it has a lot of liquidity, it has a lot of follow through, so this stock is very playable even in reused areas. So in this instance, we could play 410 if it bounces up, we could play 405, we could play some sort of pre-market low if it creates a flat bottom. Anything can happen on Tesla, right? But for the bigger picture, I will just be looking at 400 on Tesla. Now, anything to the upside, it just varies. Like I had just mentioned, anything can change with the market, especially with how we closed on Friday. We could look at 410 for a potential bounce if it opens up below it. You could look at 415, which was a previous important resistance on it. Anything can happen. So those are the areas that I'm roughly looking on Tesla. As far as all the other stocks, everything else is in a pretty bad area. The only honorable mention that I could mention is AMD here, just so the watch list isn't incredibly short. But AMD is something that is just a side watch for the meantime. Would be looking at that at 205 for a continuation going into 203, maybe even 200 if we come all the way down there. It is really far away, but it is a stock that has a lot of momentum recently because of the news it made with OpenAI. So, but yeah. That's about it for the watch list, though, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Before you go, though, and click away, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. With that being said, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a fantastic week. Peace out.